quarterback, I did want to announce our 2023 captains. So we do have 8 of them again this year. Kirk Cousins, once again, was a unanimous vote getter, all but his own ballot. Justin Jefferson is a first-time captain this year. Brian O'Neill, Harrison Smith, Jordan Hicks, great to see his recognition as a leader from year 1 to year 2. Jordan's been phenomenal. Daniil Hunter is the captain this year. Very excited about Daniil and how his teammates view him. CJ Ham, CJ, I told that was one of the the cool moments, getting to tell the team post-practice yesterday. The votes say one thing, and then it's confirmed by the team's reaction to CJ, and then Josh Mattel is picking up right where he left off, where he was named an in-season captain last year at Brian O'Neill's request. So those 8 captains could not feel better about that group, in addition to the rest of our leadership council that I meet with pretty routinely. Those guys have helped me become a better head coach and really helped me grow from year 1 to year 2. Lastly, just earlier this week, it's always hits home for me from not only my personal experiences, but just the relationships you've developed with guys on this roster. All 90 of the guys that we had at different times throughout this off season. It's never an easy process. It's one that I'm thankful I get to go through it with Kwesi, because he understands the culture that him and I have built here is one of about relationships. And if the relationships are important to us as they are, there's no more critical moment than that, than when you're delivering the tough news that letting the player know you're no longer going to be part of what we're doing here, and the responses and the communication we get back. I always want to use those moments to better ourselves, our process, what we're doing here. But it also validates a lot of the things that we hope is part of the experience of being a Minnesota Viking for however long that may be. I just want to thank, haven't really had a chance to put a bow on training camp itself, but I want to thank all of our people here that help put on the training camp that we do here for our fans. 2 separate weeks of joint practice. A lot goes into planning that. And ultimately, from Tyler Williams and our sports performance group, with Josh and Uriah, Remy, everyone involved there, we feel like we've prepared our football team in every facet that we can as we start to really turn our focus to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then lastly, just our coaching staff, what Flo's been able to do to prime us to play the type of defense we want to play, and Wes and Matt picking up with the offense and defense, and special teams where they've always done, which has been a really, really helpful leadership structure for me, in addition to Mike Pettin as our assistant head coach. But yeah, I've always, even dating back to early on in his career, I've always been a fan. I was a fan of his coming out, and then really where the window really opened for me was getting around Matthew in LA and studying a lot of his tape, seeing TJ show up and certain types of things that he did that allowed Matthew to transition pretty easily into our offense there. A lot of times he was throwing to TJ and on that inside out feel to certain aspects of our passing game. TJ's a dynamic route running tight end that can win routes in one-on-one settings versus linebackers, safeties. We can move him all over the formation, and then I do think he's a 3-down player. I think he can have a role and has shown to be willing and able in the run game, and then the play pass game. As I tell him sometimes, most of the time we're dropping back to throw, and I want you out in the pattern. But every now and then, with the marriage of running the pass, there's going to be some times you gotta do that, and that's the best thing about TJ. He does anything that you ask him to do. He's capable to do those things. And then when you pair him in that room with those other 3 tight ends, you feel like you've got a complete group to really be able to attack a lot of different ways, and that room has a little bit of a feel to me of kind of the safety room where there's versatile skill sets. Guys do things really well. You've got a player that can do everything well at a really high level, kind of leading the charge in TJ, and then it's on us as coaches to put all those guys in positions to help us move the football.
What he did last year, just coming in midweek and making an impact and carrying that through the whole season, how difficult is that, and how excited are you that he's had a whole offseason now to learn?
Yeah, I remember, kind of having a starting point for our plan that week with him. We wanted to get him going. But then as the week progressed, you saw how he was absorbing things and being able to take it from the classroom with Coach Ange down to the field, the practice field, the rapport with Kirk he developed pretty quickly. And then that showed up really, on a pretty early third down in that game when he makes a big play over the middle, and then he makes some other plays down the field in that game. And we were able to kind of build off that. And then when you have a full off season to really reflect on the things that he did well, and maybe as coaches, other new areas we can get him going to allow him to be a major problem when you talk about having Justin Jefferson either lined up on the other side or maybe right next to him. Where's Jordan, KJ? How is that affecting our run game with the types of looks that we're getting via being able to attack people formationally? All those things you take a step back and look at. But going back to that first week, I think he confirmed a lot of things very quickly that we thought about him as a player.
Kevin, you